Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to be talking about NXT from June 13th, 2023. Decent in-ring show. Not too bad. Kind of sloppy in some spots. Got some more surprises. NXT is cooking, right? It's doing a really good job. They're booking for the future. They got stuff laid out. It's beautiful. So we're going to talk about the early part of the show. Basically, we're just going to poke out the Seth Rollins piece, and we're going to talk about this right here. And then we'll talk about the rest of the show in a second. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Seth Rollins beat. But I do want to talk about this because I saw this coming. I think everybody did. That they were going to have the match on NXT. I thought the question was whether they were going to have the match on Raw or were they going to have it on NXT. So now we know that it's official. It will be on NXT. The problem I have, of course, is there's going to be 2 title matches before we get here. So Seth Rollins is going to wrestle Finn Balor on Saturday at Money in the Bank. Then he's going to wrestle wrestler to be named, to be determined on Monday. And then have to come here to wrestle Braun Breaker on Tuesday. So you're basically saying, hey, everybody knows he's going to beat the guy on Saturday and he's going to beat the guy on Monday. So, hey, just prepare. Does Braun Breaker still get his match if Finn Balor wins? That's not a question that wrestling fans are ever going to ask, because that's not a question that wrestlers ever really get around to. So it's set. Seth freaking Rollins popped up on the screen, laughed at Braun Breaker a little bit, and accepted the challenge. So next week will be part 1 of the 2-week Gold Rush special. I like that idea. I like the promotion. It sounds good. Feels good. And Braun Breaker will get a World Heavyweight Championship match against Seth Rollins. So now my question is, what if this does not bump a rating? Now, I asked this question because I know that Kevin Castle and some of my own followers have noticed that, the people are very excited about Seth Rollins. They're singing the song. They're interrupting promos to sing the song. They try to do it to Braun Breaker tonight. But as they've noticed, Seth Rollins isn't like a top merch seller in WWE. And Cody is. He's not even the top babyface on Monday Night Raw. Cody is. So the question is, how much do people like Seth Rollins really? It's a good old question of whether the song is over or whether the guy is over. And I guess we'll find out next week how much of an increase is Seth Rollins going to bring to the show. Now, because this is going to be recorded before NXT's ratings come out, I'm not going to know what the ratings are for this show. But last week's show did 607,000 viewers and a 0.17 in the 18 to 34 demographic. Now, there's no football or basketball next week, so I expect these numbers to increase for Seth Rollins' appearance. Hopefully they do more with Seth Rollins than just have him appear and have this match and that's it. Hopefully they weave him throughout the show, actually build this thing up. Because if they just do all Seth Rollins does all night is show up to wrestle this match, I think it's a missed opportunity. So, again, the rating for the June 16th episode of NXT was 607,000 viewers with a 0.17 in the 18 to 34 demographic. Is it too much to ask for that number to go up to 725? Is that too big a jump to ask for? And we don't know what it's going to be this week. So it could dip this week. It could be under 600 this week. But I'm expecting, let's say at the very least 700,000 viewers, because last week was the Battle Royal. That was the main event. That was the big draw for the show. This week, I don't know what it's going to be. It was probably the question of whether Seth Rollins is even going to show up or not. And then they did the segment actually pretty early in the show. So next week, I'm expecting at least 700,000 viewers. Maybe a 0.2 in the 18 to 34. But this is going to be a real test of whether people give a shit about Seth Rollins. Or is it one of those fad things that the fans say that they like, but in reality, they don't actually support it at all? It's one of those, Yeah, I love that. But when you ask if they ever spent any money on it or invested any time in it, the answer is no. So let's see if they are willing to at least invest time into Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker to see if Seth Rollins is a draw or not. So feel free to put in the comment section what you think or what you would expect the rating to be. And we don't talk ratings on this channel a lot. It comes up when relevant. And I think right now it is relevant because people are treating Seth Rollins like he's one of the hugest stars in the business. But I'm still saying to myself, I don't know, because ratings, because I'm not seeing anybody, go out and buy his merchandise. I'm not seeing a lot of Seth Rollins merchandise in the crowd. Just not seeing a lot of, actual financial support for Seth Rollins. But I am seeing a lot of moral support, a lot of people who are just tired of Roman Reigns, and that's really all it boils down to. So let me know what you guys think. All right, let's get into the show proper. We'll do the rest of this stuff later. Schism was defeated by Mustafa Ali, Wesley, and Tyler Bate. I didn't care about this match at all. Joe Gacy took the pin, which tells the story that they've been telling for a long time now with Schism, is that Joe Gacy is a loser. All right, so after that, Wesley, Tyler Bate, and Ali were celebrating backstage. Ali once again instigates a match between Wesley and Tyler Bate and thinks that they should have the match next week on the Gold Rush Week 1 episode. Now, they didn't know about Gold Rush at the time, but, we know, so we're going to talk about it now. So Ali volunteered to referee that match. So next week is going to be Tyler Bate versus Wesley for the North American title, and Mustafa Ali will be the special guest referee. Now, all that being said, we got this match, and I'm thinking we're really teasing a heel turn here. But who is going to be the one that's going to turn heel? Now, Mustafa Ali just turned babyface, so it's probably not going to be him, unless they just don't give a shit and they're like, hey, we're going to big show this guy. My guess, and I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, is it should be Tyler Bate. But it's also been teased that it would be Wesley. Now, Wesley's story going into this match is, him trying to avoid trusting people. It's entirely possible that, maybe Mustafa Ali makes some kind of error and it leads to Wesley attacking him. And then maybe Ali attacks Wesley and then, Tyler Bate rolls him up and gets the pin or something like that. I don't know. But this is going to be something I'm actually going to have to pay attention to because there is storyline here. And there is the lingering threat of somebody finally turning heel. And I'm looking forward to it. Because Wesley being heel would make him more interesting to me. And Tyler Bate needs to turn heel. Oh, God, he needs to turn heel so badly. But I think the more I talk about it, the less likely it is for it to happen. So Braun Breaker did actually interact with the rest of the roster tonight. Braun Breaker came out and said he's going to start holding people accountable for the things that they said, and that Ilya Dragunov didn't look so intense when he was laying on the floor. So Dragunov came out there, and he was held back by coaches and various and sundry individuals in suits. And Braun Breaker like, get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. Beat it. So in the main event was Ilya Dragunov versus Baron Corbin. Now, due to the invoking of the Gold Rush, the winner of that match will wrestle Carmelo Hayes in week 2 of Gold Rush for the NXT title. This means this was a number 1 contenders match. So the match was fine. It was as fine as a Baron Corbin match could be. He's got very boring offense, but he's a very serviceable heel. I wish they would get rid of that fucking theme song, though. It sucks. Dragunov is great. And they did exactly what one would think, which is that Braun Breaker climbed into the ring, but, Dragunov hit him first. He didn't touch Dragunov. And that distraction led to the end of days, and he got pinned. So Baron Corbin will be wrestling Carmelo Hayes in 2 weeks for the NXT Championship. This also led to Carmelo Hayes coming out and jumping Baron Corbin and beating him up before, giving him the big bump outside the ring. So they're building up Braun Breaker versus Ilya Dragunov. I like that. But it's also telling you the story that Ilya Dragunov is going to cost Brian Breakker the World Heavyweight title. I mean, it is clear as glass at this point, right? That Ilya Dragunov is going to be the reason Brian doesn't win the title, and that's going to be the big heat going into the Great American Bash. I'm okay with it because Brian losing clean, he doesn't really need to lose clean. But he probably could lose clean because he lost clean to Carmelo, so he probably could lose clean to Seth. But they're just, I don't know. But I like the idea of Brian Breakker versus Ilya Dragunov. I love that. And that's going to be the Great American Bash match. And that's going to kick ass. That's going to fucking rule. So I'm down with that. They did a vignette for Dana Brooke, which is basically a historical vignette. They showed the first time she was in NXT and basically snapshots throughout her career. And I was like, oh my God, Dana Brooke has been around for so long. She's been around. I think I forgot what her first face looked like. Like legit. I forgot she actually used to look like a human being. You know, before she did all this stuff to her face. Oh my goodness, I'm surprised. Her acting is god awful though. Let's talk about it. So afterwards, after the vignette, the history lesson on Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke cuts a promo where she says she was drafted to Raw, but she plans to be on Level Up, NXT, and any other show she can get on. And says she loves being in the ring, and now she's back in NXT, and she's back home. So then Cora Jade shows up. Cora Jade blamed Dana Brooke for her pronouns, pal. Cora Jade blamed Dana Brooke for eliminating her or distracting her so she couldn't win the Battle Royal. Dana Brooke told her basically to tighten up, and then Cora Jade smacked her. And she smacked her Dominic style because she smacked and walked off. And Dana Brooke just kind of took that on the chin. She didn't get upset about it, which she probably should have. I mean, you got smacked by a young girl, a little girl too. Like Cora Jade's like 21 or something like that. There's no way you should let that slide. Anyway, Thea Hale versus Cora Jade was the second match on the show. Thea Hale's the number one contender for the women's championship, having won the Battle Royal. Cora Jade was a top level heel in the women's division. She's been taking a lot of L's lately. She's becoming a gatekeeper. At this point, Cora Jade is somewhat dominant in the match. Thea Hale is working off of a storyline with Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, where earlier in the night, Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak was giving her a hard time about her Kimura that she used last week, saying that it wasn't very good and she needed to lock it in and it wasn't tight. So they basically gave her some last minute lessons before this match. And then Duke Hudson called Andre Chase because this was becoming too much for him. As Thea Hale is too much energy, she's bouncing around too much, and Gulak and Dempsey are way too suspicious and too weird. So they don't. So he's like, I gotta do something. I gotta get out of here. So Thea Hale is basically getting her ass kicked in this match, and then Cora Jade does what Cora Jade always does when the comeback happens. She goes to get her weapon. The referee snatches it from her, but this was after Cora Jade had elbowed Dana Brooke in the face again. She had hit Dana Brooke twice. Dana Brooke shoved her into the metal steps and kind of hurt her elbow. When she got in the ring, Cora Jade used the Kimura, locked it in, and actually got the submission win. Cora Jade losing, okay, sure, whatever. This match wasn't very good, if we're being honest. Thea Hale she got a lot of enthusiasm, but she needs work. Like, she tried to do one of those lucha flips over the ropes, and that didn't quite work out for her. So it was a little sloppy. But she's very energetic. She's very gung-ho. She's going for it. She gives me Shotzi vibes, though. Like, she's so animated, and she's going into it with such enthusiasm that you might need to turn it down a little bit for precision's sake, so you won't hurt yourself or nobody else. But at least the story was solid. And we're going to go forward with Cora Jade versus Dana Brooke. Cora Jade getting to work with another main roster talent says a lot about what they think about her, because she worked with the last female main roster talent that came in, which I think was Natalya, right? And Cora Jade got to work with her too. So they're really grooming Cora Jade for a top spot, but they're not putting her in it. They basically grooming her for a longer term spot for what it seems like, which is fine with me. But she's already better than Dana Brooke. Sorry. Sad to say. Sorry to tell you. Thea Hale, she had another segment later where Duke Hudson was very proud of her for her victory, and he believes that she's got the gumption to become the women's champion. That made Thea Hale very excited. And then here comes Gulak and Dempsey and I'm about to say Trish Stratus. I'm sorry, Tiffany Stratton. So Tiffany Stratton popped up first, saying that Thea Hale's underdog story is very cute, but this is not the time where the underdog succeeds. Then afterwards, Gulak and Dempsey was upset because Duke Hudson wanted to throw a pep rally to support Thea Hale in her women's title match. But they said, hey, look, she barely won. You know, she needs to get back in the gym. She needs to get back to work. And Thea Hale, in order to desperate to prove herself, is like, I'll be there. I guarantee you I'll be there. She's giving me Kevin Owens vibes. Kevin Owens is stealing Thea Hale's gimmick. You know, Thea Hale is she's so energetic. It's very bubbly. I like it. But I don't like it when Kevin Owens does it because he's a grown man. And he's in his 40s, I think. Or at least he's near 40. He shouldn't be acting this way. Her being a neurotic spaz as a teenage girl works. You know, that's fine. So, Thea Hale's still not going to win, but they're doing a good job of really building around her. And it seems like she's probably going to end up getting more adopted by Gulak and Dempsey rather than staying with Chase U. But I'm interested in where they're going with this, even though we all know that Thea Hale is not going to win. That would be ridiculous. And Sean's not that stupid. Might not be that smart, but he ain't stupid. All right, so next, the NXT Heritage Cup. Neither guy got an entrance, and instead Noam Dar stood in the ring and very lazily said that I'm injured. It injured me arm or something, maybe my wrist or maybe my spleen. And then he blamed Nathan Fraser for it, claiming that Nathan Fraser attacked him in the parking lot. And then said that Oro Mensah will step up and defend his honor and thus defend his cup. And they had the Heritage Cup Championship match, and Oro Mensah defended the title on behalf of Noam Dar and lost the title on behalf of Noam Dar. So Nathan Fraser wins the Heritage Cup, having beaten Oro Mensah. It was fine, I guess. I don't know. It was what it was, man. I don't know how else to say it. You know, it just was what it was. All right. So Lyra Valkyria, they did a vignette for her where she talked about needing to have a short-term memory when it comes to failures, and that she needs to learn that anything worth having doesn't come easy, and she's got to adapt if she's going to make it in NXT. And she did her little modeling pose thing, which, of course, JC Jane got really upset about. She's like, what is that? What does that even mean? So, of course, the women's locker room, JC Jane was in the locker room being catty. Elektra Lopez was like, well, she eliminated you from the Battle Royal. And then, you know, they got in each other's faces about it because Elektra Lopez is like trying to give compliments to Lyra Valkyria, and JC Jane doesn't like that. So after she got into it with Elektra Lopez, she turned around and Lola Vice was there, aka Valerie Lareda, the former Bellator fighter. And she also gets into it with JC Jane. She had some words back and forth. So JC Jane huffs and puffs and leaves. Then Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice decided they liked each other and that they were going to hang out. So they're going to have a partnership. Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. Well, Well, they're both Hispanic, both Latinas. I think, what is it? She's Cuban, right? Lola Vice is Cuban. I think Elektra Lopez is Mexican, maybe Puerto Rican. Ought to be interesting. I don't know. Lola Vice definitely needs more work with her promos. She sounds very, very forced. Very forced. But then again, the only person who could talk in this segment was JC Jane. So I don't know. Lyra Valkyria is okay, but her promos are always pre-taped. Always pre-taped. So I don't know. But it ends up being fine, I guess. JCJ needs a partner because she's going to be dealing with these two snakes right here. The fourth match on the show, Dabba-Kato versus Scripps and Axiom. And Scripps and Axiom actually defeat Dabba-Kato. This was stupid because Scripps beat him last week. Then I got very excited because Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo attacked Scripps and Axiom and basically kicked their asses, which was great. I'm like, finally, I've been saying that these guys should have been sent to NXT a long time ago. I've been saying this for weeks that they should have been sent to NXT. I thought one of them was dead. These guys haven't been on TV in months. I like both of these guys. So this rules. This is really good. Later, they explained why they came to NXT, but this was folded into a match. So Malik Blade wrestled Idris Inoue in the match in which is supposed to bring them together as tag team partners. And I have to tell you, this was tremendous. Both of these guys are very athletic. They're very good guys. This was a good match. Malik Blade wins with a simple, small package, basically a reversal, a shift of the weight. So they wrestled a babyface versus babyface match. I thought somebody was going to turn heel on it, but they didn't. All of their buddies were outside the ring. So Briggs and Brooks are out there, and Tank and Hank are out there, and everybody was cheering them on so that they could learn chemistry and learn about each other. So after Malik Blade wins, Idris Inoue now remembers Malik Blade's birthday. So it was success. They know each other now, I guess. So Booker T gets on the microphone and says that next week is going to be a number one contenders match featuring all three of these teams. And the winners will face Gallus on week 2 of Gold Rush. While they're fighting, the microphone holder for NXT goes up in the mezzanine and talks to Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, who talked about there being a lot of excitement around NXT and that they want to be a part of it. So they're standing over, watching everybody get into a fight. And basically they're like, hey, we're here to sprinkle some actual charisma on this tag team division. And I like it. Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, I like it. Now, I like Malik Blade and Idris Inoue too, and I think they should win the triple threat match. These guys have just been waiting for an opportunity. These guys have been really good. They were really good during the time when they were doing the stuff with Toxic Attraction. I don't know why that stopped. They were really good there. They're good. Malik Blade, Idris Inoue, they rule. You should push them, okay? They're a little smaller, but they're in good shape, great athletes, phenomenal performers, very flashy. Push them. Those are the guys I want to see out of this. If I can't get Humberto and Angel in the tag team titles immediately, at least give me Malik Blade and Idris Inoue. Okay. So Garza and Carrillo, that's good. That's great. So Robert Stone is backstage with Von Wagner. They get confronted by Dijak, who tells Robert Stone to get a real champion or something like that, to back a real winner. To which Robert Stone's like, I already got a real winner, and Von Wagner. Then they discuss Von Wagner's progress in therapy, and he's not talking about his childhood or his picture because he can only talk about it with somebody he trusts. And then Robert Stone flips out like, hey, the whole point of you going to therapy was for you to talk about these things and you can get over your anger issues and yada, yada, yada. Only for us to find out that Von Wagner only trusts Robert Stone. Oh, it was so sweet. Oh boy. Von Wagner got drafted and he hasn't made one appearance on his drafted brand yet. He has not made not one appearance. Not one. All right, there was a new tag team. I think their names are Lucian Price, and Bronco Nima. They look like a couple of Hispanic guys. People immediately started saying they're like Crime Time. I was like, why is it that just because some dudes are from the street, they got to be like Crime Time? It might just be two homeboys who like hanging out. It's like Mello and Trick Crime Time. That was the setup of this, though. It's like they're two kids who grew up together. They always had each other's backs, and the hood tried to break them up, but nah, they always got each other's back. It's like that didn't have anything to do with Crime Time. Like Crime Time was like literally these guys are thugs, but it was in a humorous way. These guys just look like two maybe New York, Philly kind of guys, boots and jeans kind of dudes, and people are like, "Oh, they trying to do a rip off of Crime Time." I'm like, "Oh, come on! Not everything is it might just be two normal guys right now. Two regular normal New York dudes. Just chill out. We'll see what it turns into. I hope it doesn't turn into basically like Latinx Crime Time. That would suck. Those guys are like obviously Latino too. Just don't know like what flavor of Latino. I would guess Puerto Rican from the look at them. Anyway, I heard they've been on Level Up for a long time. Some people have said like this is not a debut because they've been on the show before. I'm like, no, they were on Level Up. That doesn't count. Level Up is not canon to NXT because they don't even talk about Level Up, unless they absolutely have to. All right, moving on. Stacks is still investigating who the snitch is, who the rat is when it comes to Tony D'Angelo. And he's got a board, and he got people on the board. And one of the people that's on the board is Pete Dunne. And I was like, why is Pete Dunne on the board? Like, what do you got to do with this? But the best thing about this isn't just how seriously Stacks is taking this mission to figure out who snitched on Don Tony. It is the suit that he was wearing, that he looked like a detective from the 1930s. It was fantastic. It was a really ugly suit. It was great. He needs to dress like that every week. He would actually jump off the screen if he was dressed like that every week. That was great. he looked like a detective. So that's telling me again, it's giving me vibes that Stacks is just playing along and he is the real snitch. He is the Fed. He's the cops. He's going to be the guy. But he's still saying it's Gallus. It can't be nobody else. But he got like a laundry list of suspects on the wall or whatever. And it was fun. It was a short segment, but I liked it. It was fun. We need more stuff like this. All right. Damon Kemp was complaining backstage about losing his match to Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe was very saucy in this scene. I don't know why. Why was he like this? Anyway, Damon Kemp was complaining about his foot being on the rope, which is a fact. His foot was on the rope. Eddie Thorpe said that Damon Kemp can pick any match he wants for the rematch, and Damon Kemp said he'll think about it. I don't want to see these people ever again. Damon Kemp is okay. Eddie Thorpe, you could push him out the back door. The big hoop earrings, the septum ring, the Tatanka with EDM music, it's just not working out. Change it or get rid of them. One or the other. This is not working out. It's too much going on. I don't care that you don't want to be a stereotype, but people love Tatanka. People love Wahoo McDaniel. Chief J Strongbow, even though he wasn't really an Indian. If you can be a real Indian and represent your people and be cool without having this weird music or looking saucy, If you don't know what I mean by that, you'll figure it out eventually. Use your context clues. Next, Roxanne Perez defeated Tatum Paxley. Now, Tatum Paxley is apparently in this cult with Blair Davenport. So they did a vignette for Blair Davenport where she went over the crime scene and why she did what she did to all of these women like Wendy Chu and Nikita Lyons and Sol Ruka. She did it because all these women were threats to her becoming the top champion in NXT. And she figured out that she'd get everybody out of the way, then success will be even greater for her. So she had two goons, one of which was Tatum Paxley. I forget who the other one was. They jumped themselves out of the Battle Royal in order to take out Roxanne Perez. So they had the match, and Roxanne Perez defeated Tatum Paxley. Afterwards, Roxanne Perez says she called out Blair Davenport, says she's not afraid, and that Blair Davenport inflicted so much pain on the other women in the divisions, but now Roxanne is going to be the hunter. She's going to come looking for Blair Davenport, and she is going to hurt Blair Davenport like Blair Davenport hurt everybody else. Look, this would have a lot more feeling into it if Roxanne Perez didn't look and sound like she was 16 years old. I mean, she is so immature. Not even talking about in her personality. I'm just talking about in her voice and her physique. She just comes across like a little girl. And it's the same thing that you got with Cora Jade and Thea Hill. Some of these girls are so young. And Tiffany Stratton is in that same age bracket. None of these broads are 24. Like, all of them are young, like super young. And they all sound super young. But when you listen to Thea Hill, she comes across as being very young. Cora Jade, super young. But Roxanne Perez, oh my God. You'd think she was straight up in high school. And she's older than Thea Hill, and Thea Hill even sounds more mature in vocal tone than Roxanne Perez. I get that they're trying to make Roxanne Perez more threatening, with her saying she's going to come after Blair Davenport. I like that. But she's going to need a better finisher if you're going to get me to believe that she can beat Blair Davenport. She's not going to beat her with a sunset flip. I'm sorry, a code red. That sucks as a finisher. If she had like a real vicious, badass finish, that would make sense. Plus, I like Blair Davenport, her gloating about what she did and why. I like it. They basically blamed all the injuries in the Performance Center on Blair Davenport. The Performance Center is really the villain out here. Everybody blowing their ACLs or whatever. And you know what? We should have a short little conversation about that, because some people were like, what is going on with the Performance Center where so many people are getting injured? And you got to really consider how much jumping and moving these people are doing, especially in Nikita Lyons. That girl's at least 200 pounds. She's got to be like 170 or something. And she was doing a jumping split in every match. Of course she's going to tear her fucking hamstring. That's a big girl. When she's jumping down on her goddamn hamstring, of course her hamstring going to give out eventually. God, nobody can handle that. She can't keep doing that. Sol Ruka is doing flips, pretty much every week too. So, the likelihood of her tearing her, ACL or something like that continues every time she does some stuff too. So I don't look at it as, I think, what was it, Meltzer started talking about, it's the training exercises that they're doing. I don't think it's that. I think it's just overuse. You just improperly use your body. You have to be smarter in how you use your body. It's not like a rash of injuries either. I mean, it's like 400 people in the Performance Center, and like 4 of them got hurt. That's any given week, football players or whatever get sick or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But it is something that so many people who were on TV got injured around the same time. Even though I think Wendy Chu is back. I think she's been working Level Up, though. Praise God. She hasn't been on TV. So I like this Blair Davenport thing. This is going to work out. The only problem like I said before, is she's a top heel and Tiffany Stratton is a top heel, but they both can't be top heels at the same time. So I'm guessing either they're going to force that Tiffany Stratton face turn, or somebody's going to get bumped and taken to a different brand. Something's got to shake. They both can't be on here at the same time. All right, Gigi Dolan was upset about the Battle Royal as she watched it back. Can't believe she got eliminated by Kiana James, who was stuck up and elitist and all this stuff. She and Fallon Henley had a bonding moment about how both of them hate Kiana James. Then Fallon Henley says, oh yeah, Kiana James is bullying you because she sees you as a threat. To which Gigi says she's going to teach Kiana James not to mess with a reject. I don't know what that meant. I promise I don't know what that meant. But she was very uptight about Kiana James and eliminating her in that Battle Royal. But okay. Kiana James is fine. She's actually better than most people give her credit for, so I'm okay with this. Also, Fallon Henley should probably be doing something else. I don't know if her being resident hater of Kiana James is the move. Like, what happened to everything else she was doing? Her storyline should continue. I don't think she ever had a blow-off match with Kiana James, has she? I think they had matches, but they haven't had like a big blow-off match. At least I don't remember it. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe the mixed tag was that. The mixed tag was the big blow-off match. I don't know. I wouldn't have done that, though. I probably would have had some kind of garbage match between her and Kiana James to blow it off. But Team GG is next for Kiana James. To be quite honest, Kiana James is better than Gigi Dolan, if we're being honest, right now. So I'm actually looking forward to it. Okay. The only other thing I got is that Trick Williams will be working Reality of Wrestling. He's going to be doing their Summer of Champions show. Last year, I think Ivy Nile did the Summer of Champions show. So Booker T is using NXT talent in his Reality of Wrestling show. That's very cool. I definitely don't see why they don't utilize it more. Unless they're charging Booker T to use this talent, which they shouldn't, if we're being honest. I know it's a business. They're running a business here. But if it's NXT talent, give Booker T whoever he wants, whenever he wants. Reality of Wrestling is one of the only few shows outside of the main WWE and AEW shows that I watch every week. I don't even watch Impact every week, but I watch Reality of Wrestling because I actually do enjoy that product. Even though a lot of it is pretty bland. But that was NXT. And NXT is always fun. It's been fun the past month. It's been very good. They're slowly but surely bringing in main roster talents, people who have been underutilized and who there have not been enough time for. But they're also putting the talent in some big spots. I'm not a big fan of the Baron Corbin stuff because I'm not a big fan of Baron Corbin. But it is what it is. He's this year's Dolph Ziggler, so fine. Is he going to win the title? Hopefully not. He better not. Don't do Carmelo like that. Don't do Melo like that. But Dana Brooke being there, I don't have a hatred of Dana Brooke. She's basically nothing. She hasn't been around. She's been around for a long time, but she hasn't been focused on or featured enough for me to not like her. I actually enjoy her passion that she really pushes to do more. And she gives me, I don't know, maybe because she was paired up with Titus O'Neil for a while, but she gives me Titus O'Neil vibes where there's so much that she wants to do, but she basically is physically incapable of doing it. But then again, man, everybody laughed when Mandy Rose initially came back to NXT, right? And people thought it was a joke, and they thought it was stupid, and they thought Mandy didn't deserve to be down there. And then Mandy reinvented herself, and she became, a big star. So maybe Dana Brooke will have the same magic. Maybe she'll go to NXT, she'll get retrained, and things will work out for her. Maybe. We don't know. Garza and Carrillo, there's just no reason why these guys should have been underutilized. But they have been, and I'm very glad they're going to be in NXT. Hopefully we can get Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin down here too. I'm going to use hood rat language. My apologies. Let's manifest Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander in NXT, where where Cedric Alexander hopefully can get a singles push. But I want those guys down in NXT, man. It seems like it'll be so much more fun with them there. And if Nick Khan's plans to make NXT a standalone brand, you will have to start shaving people and bringing them down to NXT. And I finally started thinking, I think during this show when Umberto and Angel showed up, I said, you know what? They might put Eric Young in NXT. That might be the best place for him. Instead of bringing him on Raw or SmackDown, it might be the best place for him if you put him in NXT. And, that might work. They could use the talent. Even though I don't like Eric Young and I think he's old and washed and he's literally like a shriveled Vienna sausage. If you're going to have the guy on the roster, it might be the best place for him. And there's other people like, why is Riddick Moss and Emma not being sent to NXT? There's plenty of people I could sit back and think of and say, you know what? You don't have time for them on Raw or SmackDown? Send them to NXT. Riddick Moss needs a character anyway. The guy has tremendous amounts of potential physically, but he doesn't have a personality in terms of something that he could show to the audience. That's why Madcap Moss existed, because the guy could talk, but what could he talk about? Then they gave him a girl, and then Emma is not that good of a promo. So they need to develop Moss. Okay. Send him to NXT, help some character work, he could use it. That guy could be something for the future. I still wish they They send some other people down there. But I really want Riddick Moss, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander in NXT. You know, I think that would really help the brand and really fill the brand out, especially in terms of tag teams and single stars. In terms of women, I don't know who else you could send to NXT outside of Dana Brooke. Maybe Lacey Evans. I guess you could send Lacey Evans to NXT. Better than firing her. You know, she can actually get over and actually do some stuff. But that might actually work for you. But since NXT is a place and it's hot and it's interesting, let's find as many people as we can and send them to NXT and see what we can make out of it. That's what I want to do, you know, and not just, you know, older talent, but it's still mixing in new talent too. They're still bringing in new people and they're still utilizing the talent that has been down there. They're not, you know, misutilizing these people. So it's working out. It's becoming a nice little blend and I'm okay with that. But what do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.